Hey everyone, welcome back to Happy Little Knits. I am Chanel Shea, and this is another knitting podcast or creative podcast, whatever you want to call it. Episode 7. I never know what number we're on. I think it's 7. It could be 6, but I'm pretty sure it's 7. Anyway, welcome. Okay, so, yes, we're having a podcast today. I have a few things, not a lot, but a few, but I thought we'd check in because I think my last podcast was last month. So, no, it was definitely last month, but I mean, I think it was a month ago is what I'm trying to say. Last time we talked, I don't know if this was a whip in my last podcast. It might have been, but I don't think it was. Anyway, Rebecca from the Caribbean, she released her Toast Tortillas, I'm sure a lot of you know by now. And I made one, and I am obsessed with it. So the pattern was so much fun to work up. I could not put it down for the life of me. So I started it May 14th, actually. And I don't remember what day I finished it, but I think it was like around anywhere between the 29th and the 1st of June. So it took me a couple weeks. Not that long. It went by so fast. Like I said, I cannot put it down. Now, I'm going to show it to you. It's not done blocking quite yet, but the ends are soaking wet right now. But this is all like kind of damp. So this is the front and this is the back. Yeah, you can see this is like, oh gosh, yeah, water just flowing everywhere. I've had this sitting on the table blocking for the last 2 days, and it was like, it was damp, but it was not getting fully dry because it was laying down. So I hung it up this morning, and I've been cleaning like crazy today. So it hanging, all the water is trickling down and it's like pooling down here. So I could like literally wring this out right now, but I don't want to do that because then I get water on myself. Anyway, so oh my gosh, it looks so good. I kind of have been playing with this idea lately, which I've talked about in my last podcast with the socks that I was working on with just moss stitch. So I tried it on here and I think it looks so awesome. I used this yarn that I got from Hobby Lobby. It's called I Love This Yarn, Super Soft, Super Savings. I've never heard of this brand, but I could not have it. I mean, look at this color. It's like a pale denim blue with some pink and orange and yellow, brown speckling, and then every once in a while, I'm talking like a couple drops, you'll get black speckling, which I thought was pretty cool. I had it on the end somewhere around here. Oh yeah, so you can kind of see there's like some black speckling. So that's pretty cool. And I think I have it on one of the sleeves also. I don't know. It's around here somewhere, but yeah, so I like this yarn a lot. It is in the colorway. The color name is River Ripple, and the lot number is 212436. And it is acrylic, of course. We love acrylic in this household. 5 ounces, 142 grams, 252 yards, 230 meters. And yeah, I bought 5 of these because there was only 5 left in the store and I would much rather have too much than too little. So I bought 5 of them and now I have 3 left over because it only took 2 to make that t-shirt. I did the small size on that t-shirt actually. And it's a pretty decent size. It's still pretty large, so definitely will wear it next spring when the weather is warming up, but it's still cool enough to wear it. Right now it's too hot now. The yarn is too thick for, it's too thick for today's weather. So that is the only FO that I have to show you today. Right? Yeah, it is only FO. I have a couple whips though. Those socks, those 2 socks that I was making, the 2 different ones, I have completely abandoned those because I am not in a sock knitting mood right now. I'm very much in a sweater knitting mood, which is so weird because it's summertime, but that's okay. We're not gonna talk about that. I also am craving crochet, and whenever I crave crochet, I crave crocheting a blanket. So I went to Joann's because I had a bunch of coupons that were about to expire, and I came across this yarn and I immediately saw a blanket and just thought luxury. So this is her. This is the yarn. Like, doesn't it remind you of like fine china dishes? It's just, oh yeah, get a load of that. I started crocheting a blanket. You'd think I would know what to do since I've crocheted so many blankets, but every time I go to crochet a blanket, I'm like, what do I want to do with this? But that's all I have so far. I'm just doing half double crochets, but I think I might take this out and do something different because I'm not liking the way this is looking. I don't know. I was looking for more of a relaxed vibe, but I think that's because I've become so used to the way that knitting looks that the look of crochet, I'm not the biggest fan of the way crochet looks anymore, but I like the feeling of crocheting. Does that make sense? So when I crochet for the process, not the finished object. But in this case, even though I'm craving crocheting a blanket, I think I'm gonna knit this into a blanket because I think I would much, as I'm sitting here ripping it out, I think I would like the look of a knitted blanket more. So yeah, we'll see. I had to put this on ice because it was just, I don't know. I was so undecided that I just didn't want to, I don't know. I don't want to keep going just to have to rip it all back out later if I decided to, which is what I'm doing now. So this is my first whip. It is the Yarnspirations Bernat Blanket Speckle. I also got this at Joann. Did I mention that already? Yeah, I did mention that. Anyway, it is super bulky, size 6, 10.5 ounces, 300 grams, 220 yards. I don't know. I think that's the colorway right there. I don't know. But yeah, this is the yarn I'm using. I also bought 5 of these. 5 is the golden number today, I guess. I don't know. But yes, more than enough for a blanket. So I'm gonna make a pretty large blanket. Now my current whip, which is my most favorite whip of all time. Okay, currently. I gave in and I purchased my first petite knit pattern. I know it's basic, okay, but leave me alone, okay, because I've been following her on Instagram. Everybody's knitting her stuff and I'm just like obsessed, right? But I've always thought of myself as that's too bougie for you. Like, you're not that kind of knitter yet. You're not that advanced yet. You can't do that yet. But then I was like, you know what? I bought this yarn and I thought it was perfect. Okay. So I kind of just one day I was like, let me see what her patterns look like, okay? Because I have looked at her patterns before and I've put them in a cart before, but then I am always just like, I don't know. And then I never do it. So this time, the melange sweater. Am I saying it right? The melange sweater? The melange sweater, okay? I found this yarn. And I was like, this would be perfect for that sweater, okay? Boom. It is already, what's that word? What's that word? That word. You know what I'm talking about? You might not know what I'm talking about. Okay, the melange sweaters, when you take 2 different colored yarns, you have like, they're 2 contrasting colored yarns, okay? So like, for example, you'd use like a green strand and like a cream strand, okay? And then when you knit it, you twist them together, and when you knit it, it comes out in this way where there's a word for it. Is it melange? No, it's not. Anyway, the fabric comes out in this cool, like, I don't know, it's just an interesting, I keep thinking speckled, but I know that's not the word. Basically, it comes out looking like this, okay? So we have brown and white here that have been spun together to make this yarn. I am almost confident they made this specifically for that sweater, okay? Because, you know. Anyway, so I found this. I got, I want to say 1, 2, 3 of these skeins, I think. Yeah, I'm pretty sure only 3. And I cast it on May 29th when I bought this. I bought the yarn like a couple days prior, but then I bought the sweater on the 29th and immediately cast it on. But I didn't realize, I didn't gauge swatch, and I didn't realize it until I was like way too far in to try and go back and gauge swatch, because the reason I didn't want to go back and gauge swatch is if I found out that my gauge was off, I was going to have to rip back all that work and redo it, and I didn't want to do that, so I'd rather just not know and just go for it. Bum, ba, da, bum. Oh, I'm so obsessed with the way this looks already. So this is the back. It is drop shoulder, in case you didn't know. So this would be like the back of the neck, and this is the shoulder, and then this would be like the armhole, and this would be like the mid back right here. So I got my German short rows done, and I finished one shoulder, and I'm working on the right shoulder, and I'm going to connect them so that the neck hole will be finished, and then I'll connect in the round and work in the round for the body. Okay, so this is my second time doing a drop shoulder. It's also my second time experiencing German short rows. I am loving it this time around. My first time doing a drop shoulder and German short rows was on the Farnham Test Tee by Sophie from the Knit Pearl Girl. So for the shoulders, since it was my first time and I was reading the pattern, I went and watched so many videos, like tutorials. Sophie even made one and I watched hers, but my brain was just not clicking, okay? So you can see how kind of like sloppy it looks? Like there's holes, gaps, and it just is not very seamless on both shoulders like that. It's not the pattern, it was literally just my brain did not know how to compute when doing this, okay? Because it's my first time. So I have, oh my gosh, it looks so much better, okay? There's barely a seam, just a little bit. The only reason is because these stitches are going slanted that way and these ones are going straight up. So there's a slight seam, but it's not that noticeable. But the part that I'm most obsessed about is this little seam thing right here. Like, I don't know if you can even see that. It just looks so professional, in my opinion. Like, it looks like something you buy at the store. It looks store-bought, okay? Like, factory made. Okay, like, it just blows my mind. Every time I do something like this, it just blows my mind. Like, my brain was blown when I did the corn cardigan because of the construction and how just tidy everything looked. And then same with the Farnham tee. So doing this, having it even like basically improved, I am just even more obsessed, okay? Because, you know, we do stuff, we learn, and we move on, and we apply our skills to the next thing, and it just keeps getting better and better, and this is how we become better knitters. Crocheters, better at whatever it is that we're doing, right? Yeah, so from here, you can't even really see it. It just looked, oh, chef kiss, all right? So I'm working on the right side. Yes, like I said, started this on the 29th, and today's the 6th, I think. So it's only been about a week, and I feel like I've got some pretty good progress on it. Now I'm tangling up the yarn, jeez. It's been about a week, and I feel like I made some good progress on it. This is the first skein, so I should probably cake that up. Not much is left. Well, no, it's a good amount, but you know, kind of floppy, so I really should kick that up. I'm using Big Twist Heather is the name, Heather. 380 yards, 6 ounces, 347 meters, 170 grams. Oh, that's perfect. It says for a sweater you need 3 skeins, and I got exactly 3 without even looking at that. That's perfect. It's a size 4 medium in the colorway beige. Beige, babe. Yeah, so I'm obsessed. Okay. Those are my current whips. Another thing that I'm working on that I am really excited about. When I was like 9 or 10, my dad got me this like rug making kit for my birthday one year, and it's, are you gonna start crawling soon? What are you doing? It's like this mesh thing, and you like use this like hook thing and these little scraps of yarn, and you follow the pattern, and it like makes a rug with like a print on it. And I worked on it a lot, and I got really close to being done when I was a kid, but then like I just like set it down one day, didn't touch it again. But then when I was going to when I was using up that coupon, I was like, would it not be so much fun to do that again, but this time understand what I'm doing because I'm a grown-up apparently, and put it in Sophie's room. So Sophie's room, the theme that we have for her room is like fairy, butterfly, enchanted forest type vibe. So I found this. It's like a heart with flowers on it, kind of like a wreath, and I think it's just so perfect, and it fits so well with the vibe. So I'm definitely making this for her room. I started it when I like the day that I bought this, and I got a couple strands in, and then I immediately got to work on, I was going to do originally with that Heather yarn, I was originally going to do another Tulsa tee, but then I was like, you know what, let's see what else we can do. And then I got the petite knit pattern. That same day that I got that kit and all that yarn, I also got stuff to make candles. I got beeswax and like some scents. The scents that I got were these like linen and clean fresh scents, which is my favorite kind of scent for a candle. So I made a candle with beeswax, and it was so cool, but then it didn't work out very well because I didn't let it, like it started cracking for some reason, and then the whole center just, when I lit it, it just burned right down the middle, and then the wick that I got was also the wrong wick, and that's Sophie playing with my hair clip on the shelf down here, by the way. But yeah, it didn't work out, so I'm gonna reattempt it again because I think making candles would be so fun. Yeah. Anyway, those are my whips, and I guess that candle will be technically an FO, but also kind of like a whip because I'm gonna do it again. But yeah. Now, this is moving right along. We're only like not even 30 minutes in, and we're already getting everything checked off the list. I do have some, what's that word? Aspirations, I guess is the word I'm looking for, like things I want to do. I have some leftover yarn from my Christmas gift knitting, right? You guys have seen this before. It's been a few months, but the first one being this skein. I knit my mother-in-law a pair of socks with this. And I have so much of it left over that I'm like, what do I do with it? Because it's also not a whole lot to do anything with it. So, like, what do I do with it? Can I make another pair of socks out of this? I don't even know how much this is. I haven't weighed it or anything, but I don't know. Do you think I can get another pair of socks, like some shorties out of this? Because here's the other thing. Hobby Lobby has cut back their yarn supply, or at least the one by my house, tremendously. So all of their hanks and their hand-dyed yarns are gone, so I cannot buy this again. I don't even know, I don't have the labels anymore, so I wouldn't even know where to get it from. So I can't buy more if I need more. So I'm like, do I put the energy in and the time in to cast on another pair of socks, a pair of shorties with this yarn? Because what if it's not enough, right? But then I had this idea because, you know, this red yarn journey we've been on for like 6 months, okay? For those of you who don't know, I bought this red yarn last year before my daughter was even born, okay? So it's been longer than 6 months because she's turning 8 months old this month. I bought this at the end of the summer last year because I know that I got this before she was born because I was knitting a pair of socks for my mom in the hospital room while I was in labor, okay? And even after, the next day after she was born while she was sleeping, I was knitting some socks. So, let's not play with that. Thanks. Anyway, so I bought a skein, it's a hand-dyed skein that I got, or Hank, from Hobby Lobby. This and that are both the same brand. I bought this and I knit a hat for my dad for Christmas and paired it with some black mohair. So it made a really cool marl. Is that the word I'm looking for? I think that is the word I was looking for. It made a really nice marl. And I bought a second skein of this because I was like, I don't think I'm gonna have enough to make a hat for my dad. And then I had so much left over that I made a pair of shorty socks for my mom. But I still have so much left over because I have this, and then I still have like another hank, probably about the same size as this, of this red yarn mixed with the black mohair. So I attempted a shawl with this. I attempted socks again, and I would knit something and then rip it out, and knit something, rip it out. And so this yarn became so tangled. Okay, so tangled. And yesterday, or I think the day before, I spent so long untangling and re-caking this up. So there's a lot of these, I don't know, let me show you. Oh yes, these things, because, well, not this, but it's, yeah, because I had to break the yarn and then retie it and cake it up and stuff. And yeah, so I have decided I'm just gonna make socks with this. Period. What I'm thinking right now is I'm gonna make socks and then maybe use this for the cuff, heel, and toe, maybe. I think those would go together pretty well because, you know, there's hints of red and black in this one. I think they would make the perfect Christmas socks. I'm just going to do a basic vanilla sock probably. I don't think I'm gonna add, well, I could, because my vision for this red yarn for slow down, for as long as I've had it, I want to knit socks with a little bit of texture because I think the texture would absolutely pop with this yarn. So I'm thinking I might have to do that. I just have not found the right sock yet. Maybe Petite will have something. Anyway, yeah, so that's what I have for everything knitting and crochet related. Now we have more to talk about. As you can see, we're in the craft room. I probably should have started with that, but that's okay. We're in the craft room because we finally cleaned it again. I don't know why, but every few months this room becomes a catch-all for everything in the house, and it just piles up and becomes a disaster. It looks like a tornado just ran through here. It got really, really, really bad this last time, and it got to the point where I didn't want to even acknowledge that this room existed. Going into this room just stressed me out, so I was like, you know what, I'm not even gonna look at this room. But we just recently, just literally 2 days ago, we started transitioning our daughter into her own room. The idea that we wanted to do was this new like Montessori floor bed situation. Montessori? Anyway, the idea is you can't have furniture in the room unless it's like screwed into the wall, because if they are crawling and climbing on things, they can pull the furniture and it can fall on them, obviously. So I didn't feel like screwing all the furniture into our walls, so the only other option was to put our furniture in our bedroom or in here. And our bedroom, like, it's a pretty large room, but it just would not have worked. Like, function-wise, it would not have worked. So the only option was to put it in this room, which meant I had to come and tackle this. This huge project of transitioning Sophie to her own room and cleaning the craft room had been on like my to-do list, in my planner for a while, but I just kept, the next day. Until finally I was like complaining to my husband. I was like, oh, this weekend I need your help to clean the craft room. And I said that every weekend, but for some reason this weekend he was like, okay, let's go get it done. So we literally came upstairs and I did not want to do it at all. It was so messy that you couldn't even walk. Like, the floor was so covered, you had to like step over stuff. It was so bad. So he started cleaning and I just tackled the area right behind you, because behind you is my desk and the window, and it just seemed like the most manageable and easiest part to start with. So that's what I did, and then it just immediately, like, this flow kicked in and I could not stop cleaning. So then I got this entire room cleaned and organized. That closet is cleaned out and organized, and I got yarn back on the shelves, and it just, moved all of our furniture in, and it just it just felt better. Like, I could come in here and just like breathe, But then the next task at hand was to organize my yarn. So yesterday I spent quite a bit of time working on organizing my yarn, and these shelves here. So I have 2 of these large IKEA bookshelves. The one right here has like all of my books and my whips, or not my whips, my FOs and just knickknacks and stuff, There's a lot of empty shelves, which is good because we don't want every shelf to be filled with something, right? And then this second one back here is all yarn. Like, this entire shelf is yarn. The thing is, though, is although it was color coordinated, it was like spilling out full of yarn. And in this closet I had 5 large bags full of yarn, and then my current whips, and then my knitting bag downstairs full of yarn as well. Now, I knew I had a lot of yarn, but I didn't know just how much of it I had. It was really bad. When Kevin and I lived in our apartment a couple years ago, this woman was selling like bags and bags and bags of yarn, and I got it for $40. So I immediately went and snatched that up, because ever since I got into this community of fiber arts, I had this idea of, I want a large stash of yarn, and I want to be able to go shopping in my own craft room and make whatever projects I want with my yarn, right? And because I saw other fiber artists that had that, they'd have their craft room and like all the walls would just be like full of yarn, right? And then I'd walk into Joann and the whole back wall was like perfectly organized boxes with like color coordinated yarn, and I was like, that is my inspiration. That's what I'm going for, and that's how I ended up with this. But after 5 years of collecting yarn and not getting rid of anything and just not keeping track of all of the stuff that I had, I didn't realize how much of it I had, right? So when we first moved into this house, this room was the first time it became a disaster, because it was just, okay, put stuff into the rooms and then we'll unpack later, And then this room just sat for a while and kept getting worse. And my yarn was a pile like up to this 3rd shelf here on the floor, and it took over this entire room. Like, it was a big pile, plus I had stuff on the shelves, and that entire pile got donated, but I was still left with a lot of yarn. And so I color coordinated and organized the stuff that I was keeping, and so I was like, okay, I downsized so much yarn, like I couldn't have that much. But then yesterday I came in and I now have 4 large bags of yarn that I'm donating, and I still have this entire shelf and then some full of yarn. I came to the conclusion that I need to go on a yarn ban for at least a year. Having that much yarn for me personally is way too overwhelming. I wanted to get rid of everything and just because I started accumulating a different kind of stash within the last year with better yarn, I'd say. Not better, but just different, because before when I was a crocheter, I was buying yarn for the color, not the texture, because I guess I was more of a yarn collector than a creator, if that makes sense. Obviously, I collected so much yarn. Yeah, so it was more of just the color and the way it looked versus the way it felt and the structure of it. So I wanted to get rid of all of my yarn except for the stuff that I've been buying since I became a knitter, because when I became a knitter, I was knitting and buying yarn because I wanted to create clothing and better quality household items like blankets and stuff like that, you know, pillows, whatever. I haven't been doing this very long. I've been knitting for about a year-ish, and even then I took a really long break because, you know, pregnancy and all that crap. I talked about that in my last video. So I want to get rid of it, but you know, I am having a hard time getting rid of everything because there's so much of it. So after I organized everything, I kind of found this new like desire for it and this new respect for it. Seeing it all organized and getting rid of all the stuff that I really, really didn't like, and then keeping, like, picking and choosing the stuff that I did like versus stuff I really didn't like. I now will have all the yarn that I have is yarn that I want to use. So my plan is to stop buying yarn for a full year because I have more than enough, and I'm going to use as much of it as I can. And then I think next year my focus will be destashing. Right now, this year, my focus is to build my wardrobe, my handmade wardrobe. Next year, it'll be to destash. So I will not be buying any more yarn. I just recently bought so much yarn, so I guess that was a good way to go out with yarn buying for now. And yeah, this is my first time doing yarn ban. I've never done this before. I'm really curious to see how it's going to go because a year is a long time to not buy yarn. But then again, I have a huge supply that needs to be used up. So yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of nervous and slightly sad, but also at the same time, I'm so excited because I finally have the stash that I've always wanted, and now I need to use it. So yeah, I guess that's just a little update with the current situation. The craft room is clean and it's done, officially done. And my yarn has finally been, my yarn stash, I guess, is finally where I want it to be. So here's to this new journey, I guess. Yeah, I think I'm gonna end it here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me today. Thank you so much for sticking to the end and hearing my spiel about my yarn addiction. And I hope to catch you on the next one, and I hope that you have an amazing day, an amazing week. I hope that your next few days until my next video are just bliss. And yeah, I'll catch you on the flip. Bye.